This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Hi, welcome to It's a Doggy Dog World. I'm your host, Liz Palaika, and with me today, as always, are my good friends Petra
Hello.
and Kate Abbott.
How do?
Today we're going to talk about not such a wonderful subject, but one that every dog owner faces at some point in time, and that's canine cancers. One of the reasons we decided to talk about it this time is we have a new sponsor that you'll hear from a little bit later, called Pets Are Kids Too, and they have a line of natural pet products. One of the things that this company does that we're real enthused about is they donate a portion of their proceeds to help dogs survive cancer. And their goal is to help 100 pets survive cancer in 2019, so before 2020. 2020, oh my gosh.
That's next year.
I know. So we're real enthused about this new sponsor, and like I say, you'll hear a little bit more about them throughout the podcast. But since they do have an emphasis on helping dogs survive cancer, we thought we'd talk a little bit about that in this podcast. We've all had run-ins with it. I know I've lost 2 dogs to cancer in the last 5 years. My last 2 Australian Shepherds. Bashir had hemangiosarcoma in the abdomen, and Cisco had a brain tumor that was absolutely horrible. Petra, you've lost 3
to hemangiosarcoma. 3.
Yeah, horrid.
2 Aussies and what?
A Pomeranian.
2 weeks ago, Pomeranian.
Yeah, and then Kate.
Yeah.
I've lost 3 to bone cancer, osteosarcoma.
Yeah, we're all 3.
And 2 toy poodles, interestingly enough.
Oh, I knew the Rottweiler. I didn't realize the 2 poodles.
And they were their mates. There's that hereditary
component
to the whole thing, but yeah, the girl first and then later on the boy.
And then last year, my youngest, Hero, had melanoma in the eye, and that was quite tragic. So cancer's just as horrible in dogs as it is in people.
Well, and like we were talking about before we started this podcast, it is. I mean, it's not. Everybody has cancer. Every person, every dog.
Yes.
It's there. It's just whether or not it's affecting you.
When my father was diagnosed with cancer, in talking with the oncologist, my dad went immediately to hospice care. His was untreatable. He was 85. I mean, and we don't say that, you know, you don't treat just because they're 85, but his had unfortunately spread so terribly that he went right to hospice care. But the oncologist explained to us that we're always fighting cancer cells, that when you have a healthy immune system and everything's working the way it's supposed to, your body kills those stray cancer cells. But it's when something else happens, whether there's a threat to your immune system or you have another health challenge or something else upsets the equilibrium, then the cancer takes over. And I'm sure that's a very simplified explanation, but that's the way he worded it to us. And the same would be with our dogs.
Yeah. Well, it's just accelerated.
Right.
Because their lifespans are accelerated.
Right. Which is horrible in its own right.
Yeah. Yeah, they never live long enough.
So let's talk about some of the things that they talk about as to why dogs can get cancer or the cancer can take off or any of the other various.
Well, it's probably no surprise, just like in people, the more awful stuff that's in the environment.
Sure.
So dogs who live on commercial farms exposed throughout their lives to herbicides and other pesticides, they're more prone to cancers, especially nasal cancer.
Oh, that nose is down to the ground and they're sucking everything up.
I mean, the fact that we even know what the word carcinogens means. You know, they're just everywhere. We have different kinds. I don't know, they didn't say why, but oral melanoma is more common in dogs with dark pigmentation in their mouths.
Oh, interesting.
So the dark pigmentation in the mouth means they're more likely to get oral
Oh,
melanoma.
they have more melanin. Okay, that's interesting because melanin plays a part in malignant melanomas of the eye.
So those type of cells are more susceptible to changing to cancer cells? Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
Well, the formation of melanin is a complex process with genetic, hormonal, and UV affected by UV rays. So if that comes to play in the eye, I would guess some of the similar would also play in the dark pigment in the mouth. Not the UV rays so much, but the other, the hormonal.
well, still dark is absorbs more.
I
and
would guess.
light repels. We're just really guessing here, but
Yeah.
it's
We're thinking out loud.
yeah,
Makes sense.
Large and giant breeds are at a much higher risk of bone cancer, like my Rottweiler.
Yeah,
So the toy poodles were an anomaly,
right.
but I think a strong hereditary problem there.
Yeah, since they were litter mates.
Cocker spaniels are prone to an otherwise rare type of ear cancer. Skin cancer more prevalent in short-haired, fair-skinned breeds, like boxers. I'm thinking of my Jack Russell because he's white. So he's got a lot of white skin and it's not very thick. And he's got a pink nose. A portion of his nose is pink. So I actually did buy dog sunscreen for him. Safe if he licks it off. And he doesn't, I don't put it on him every day. But if we go to the beach or something or to the desert, yeah,
Sure.
I'll put a little on his pink spots, much to his dismay. So there is often a genetic component, a hereditary component, and even within lines of certain breeds. You know, someone the other day was telling me about a problem their dog was having. I said, well, did you tell the breeder? Well, I didn't want to bother her. No, that's not a bother. You need to tell her.
Yes. And responsible breeders want to know. When Hero was diagnosed with the melanoma in his eye, and I'll talk about that more in a little bit, first thing I did was contact the breeder, and I told her, I says, I'm not blaming you because this is not supposed to be inherited.
Right.
But I said, I want you to know. And she said, oh, of course. And actually, she offered to help pay for his surgery. So good breeders, responsible breeders, want to know this stuff, even if it's not good news.
Well, and then the breeder that you and I used years ago for an Aussie, she
Yes.
spayed the female when she realized 2 litters were
Had
having
health problems. Yeah,
And she didn't want to keep going with that.
right.
Yeah.
Skin cancer is more prevalent in dogs that live in high altitude locations, closer to the sun.
Well, when you and I go to a higher elevation, we're more apt to get sunburn.
Yeah. I would refrain from talking about what we've done to our environment. Okay.
Yeah.
Staying on topic.
All right, well, I'll talk about Hero first, since I've mentioned it a couple times.
Yeah.
Last summer, actually, I can tell you the date. On July 12th,
Yeah.
I took a picture of Hero face on with my camera. And when I posted that photo to Facebook and I was looking at it, I went, he's got a little black dot on his eye, on the iris of his eye. And I thought initially maybe that was on the lens of my phone camera. And then I turned around to look at him and grabbed his little cheeks and pulled his face up so I could see. And I realized he had a little black dot on his iris. Said I. And little bitty tiny black dot. So I just watched it.
Yeah, but you went and looked for other photos.
Yes, I did. I went and looked back at other photos to see whether that black dot was there, and it wasn't. So July 12th was when I first saw that little black dot. And it was like a little black dot from a lead pencil. By September, it was the size of a pencil eraser. So it was growing quickly. So I called his veterinarian, and I had a bad feeling already, but I called his veterinarian, and she did a couple of and went and got the ophthalmologist scope. I'm not even going to try and pronounce it. Yeah,
You're out there on that limb on your own.
yeah, the scope for the eye, and
Okay,
and she looked at it straight on, and then she looked at it from the side, and she said, Liz, I'm 99% sure he has melanoma of the eye. And she says, I'm going to call the ophthalmologist right now and refer you to the specialist. So she left the exam room, called him, came back and said He will see Hero. All you have to do is call and make an appointment. Okay. So, made the appointment, took Hero in, and it took him all of 5 seconds to say, yes, he has melanoma of the iris. But the good thing is he's a young vet. He's gung-ho. He's ooh-rah. And,
up to date with all the technology.
And he's got up-to-date technology and knowledge.
And it's a specialty clinic.
Specialty clinic.
They got all sorts
So,
of things.
whereas lots of the research online talks about surgeries as in cutting out that portion of the eye and so forth and so on, which made me wince terribly, he has a laser. And he was, yes, I can do this. I will do this and this and this. And we'll kill the tumor and Hero will be fine. And I went, okay, you guarantee that? Well, of course, there's always the chance that the melanoma might come back later. If it does come back later, there is the small chance he might lose that eye. But in the meantime, he's got excellent vision. He's not light sensitive. He's got the tumor when it dies kind of spreads out a little bit. So he's got a bigger black spot on the iris, but it's not a tumor. It's just discolored. And he's absolutely fine. So, knock on wood, knock, knock. Hopefully it won't come back. I of course, being me, asked him a zillion and one questions. Is it inherited? No, they don't think so. They don't really know why dogs get melanoma in the eye. They really don't. But they don't believe it's inherited. Will it spread to the other eye? No, it doesn't work that way. Will he have melanoma elsewhere in the body? He has the same chance of developing melanoma elsewhere in the body as he would if he didn't have it in the eye. Melanoma in the eye does not metastasize anywhere else. Now, that said, if there was some genetic mutation or, the cause of the melanoma in the eye, that's not to say that genetic mutation might not affect melanoma in the rest of his body. There's so much that we don't know about cancer. But in the meantime, he's healthy. He can see. His vision is good.
I remember when you were doing the treatments after surgery, you had, 6 drops?
6.
Was it?
5 drops and 1 ointment.
Yeah.
Oh, that was such a pain. For about a month, he had 5 drops and 1 ointment 4 times a day. And there had to be 5 minutes between each drop and the ointment. So that took a half an hour 4 times a day. Oh my gosh. I was so thrilled when he got his follow-up and it was taken down to 3 times a day. And then finally twice a day. And then,
And when we did our road trip.
We did a trip
to... Day at that point?
He was still 3 times a day at that point. So I taught everybody how to get, so if I was driving when it was time for his drops, okay, everybody, here's his drops. This is the order you have to give him. He was so patient with that. He was so good. I would pull out the meds and he would kind of duck his head like, oh no. Because I know a couple of them stung, but he was so patient.
And he's doing great now.
Yeah, he's doing awesome. Definitely worth it. Let's take a break from our topic and talk about our sponsor. We've got a new sponsor for our podcast, Pets Are Kids 2, and that's Pets Are Kids TOO. They have a line of natural pet products, pet health products, that we're really enthused about. The ingredients are very nice. They use a lot of essential oils in their various products, ranging from dental care, ear care, shampoos, products for itching, all kinds of different things. Plus, another thing that we're happy to see, this is a company with social responsibility. Their goal is in 2019 to help 100 pets survive cancer, which is pretty amazing because cancer treatments can be expensive, as some of us know. And the label on each of their products says, there's a big red label. It says, wait, send a picture of your pet with this bottle to charity@petsarekids2.com, and they'll send you back a photograph of the pet that is benefiting from the donation from your purchase. which is pretty neat. Gives you a more personal connection with them. The product that we wanted to talk about today is they have an ear cleaning product, and the primary ingredients in it are aloe vera, which is wonderful for healing, natural eucalyptus extract, and you use this as an ear cleaner and a preventative. It's not for when your dog has an ear infection. It's not a medicine. But if you have a dog who's prone to dirty ears, or your dog plays in the mud, or you've got a dog with heavy floppy ears like golden retrievers and Labrador retrievers, this would be great. It'd be wonderful. Kate, I know you used it on your guys this evening.
Yeah, I like the smell of it. It was easy to put in their ears. They were not terribly offended.
Which sometimes it can be.
Yeah, especially so. But
Well, and it says for cats and dogs. So that's nice.
Yes. One of my cats has a tendency, he's got allergies. Scotty, my long hair, looks like a Turkish van. He was a rescue, but he looks like a Turkish van. He's got allergies, and he tends to get dirty ears.
Yeah.
I would introduce this very carefully. He's a big cat. He could hurt me.
it is what do I want to say? Fluid liquid is redundant. It's not sticky. It's not so one thing you can do with something that's that fluid is soak a cotton ball.
Yes.
Put the cotton ball in the ear and then start massaging so it gets dispensed that way.
And plus, when you put the cotton ball in the ear, it warms it slightly.
Yes.
So you're not giving a dose of cold liquid.
Yeah.
But if you consider the fact that ear infections are one of the big reasons why dogs and cats, but primarily dogs, make vet visits.
Yeah.
I mean, especially in allergy season or when the dogs are outside, ear infections are a big thing. And I know you and I were both vet techs. So.
Just the smell. It's nicer to have a dog whose ears smell nice.
Yes.
True.
So anyway, you can go up to their website, petsarekids2.com. Take a look at the products. The premium pet ear cleaner. It's all natural, aloe vera and eucalyptus.
Made in the USA.
Made in the USA. And take a look at it. If you decide to purchase it, if you enter the code PET, PET15, you'll get 15% off your order. And there's also a lifetime money-back guarantee. So take a look at it. We're enthused about it.
Sit. Stay. It's a Doggy Dog World. We'll be right back after a short pause. Well, 4 to be exact.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynavite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite.
Dynavite for life.
Pick up 2 tubes of Doggo Suds.
Get the 3rd tube free.
Peppermint, tea tree, lavender, Doggo Sud shampoo.
Made with all-natural coconut, jojoba, aloe. Great for healthy skin and soft, shiny coats.
But no itchy, harsh chemicals.
Lather up, rinse away.
Try Doggo Suds. Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dynavite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com. We know you're begging for more. So back to It's a Doggy Dog World with your fetching hosts, Liz Palika, and this week's co-hosts, Kate Abbott and Petra Burke.
Welcome back to It's a Doggy Dog World. This is your host, Liz Palika, with my good friends, Petra Burke and Kate Abbott. I wish there were more happy stories about cancer, but Bashir and Cisco didn't have happy stories, but Hero
For
did.
both of them, it came on. I mean, it metastasized so quickly. It grew. The growth of the tumor was so fast.
Bashir especially. Bashir, well, we had gone camping. Kate and I had gone camping up in the mountains over 4th of July because we wanted to get a couple of noise-sensitive dogs out of the city. And there was a couple times when Bashir acted like he was really in pain. And the one time we were sitting out on the patio and he came out of the RV and then stood like a horse with colic, all 4 feet spread, and he just froze, like he was really, really in pain.
We thought it was shoulder, front legs.
I thought it was arthritis.
Arthritis, because he did have arthritis.
He'd been on various medications for his arthritis for a couple years. And I said then, when we were sitting out there, I went and got him another pain pill for his arthritis. And I told Kate, okay, well, when we get back down to Flatland, gonna get an appointment and talk about his pain management. And took him in, and our veterinarian, gave him an exam. And when she went to palpate his belly, she went, uh-oh.
No, you never want to hear that.
You never want your vet to say, uh-oh.
Yeah. Right? The last 2 words you won't ever hear from your vet.
And after the thorough exam, she found that he had a large mass in the abdomen and masses on one kidney. So after that exam, I went out in the parking lot by myself and called both of you and said, Bashir is gone.
And I just remember her calling me, and I'm like, gone where? Because I just know, I had to the vet for arthritis treatment.
Yeah.
See what we put him on. And all of a sudden she calls and is like, gone. And I'm like, where'd he go?
On vacation, somebody's house.
Yeah, what do you mean?
Yep.
And that's when he said he had
He was in pain.
He was in pain. She offered, she's a wonderful veterinarian. We, all three of us, use her, and she's absolutely wonderful. And she offered alternatives. She says, well, if you want a little bit more time, we can do this and this and this and this. And I said, he's in pain. He's a good boy. There's no way I'm going to let him suffer just so I can be selfish enough to have, another week with him.
And what's weird for that cancer, I mean, it happened with my 2 Aussies. They're so stoic. You don't get symptoms. And that's what they say is so common, as when it's critical. And all of a sudden, like one of them, the cancer started to bleed. Right. So he had internal bleeding, and it was like, oh, you're lethargic. What's going on? And brought him in and found out. But Shasta, remember when she...
Oh, yeah.
I got another, 3-4 weeks after her. But again, it happens to the older dogs, and Shasta was 13, Kona was 12.
Bashir was right at that same age.
Right there.
Yeah.
And at that point, you could do surgery. They give you the options. They give you options of chemotherapy. But I'm thinking 12, 13 years old.
And in pain.
I decided, we gave Shasta the best few weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whole Dog Journal says approximately 1 in 4 dogs will get cancer. After 10 years of age, nearly half of the dogs over 10 years of age die of cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those statistics are just...
And the most recent one, I mean, the Palm, my aunt lives with me. She had a Palm. And the Palm Lacey, she's 9.
That's young for a Palm.
9.
That's really young for a Palm. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
and Keely.
Yeah.
That's right, 4. Oh, 4?
Yeah.
2 Palms, 2 Aussies, yeah.
Yeah.
And same thing, Keely. It was just, a few days. It's like, doesn't act right. We gave her subcu fluids all that weekend. And it was the ultrasound.
Yeah. Now, the one I feel really bad about was Cisco. Cisco was 5 when he died of cancer.
That's young.
And he had shown some signs that something wasn't right. Hindsight's always 20/20. For a while, including running into a 4x4 fence post at full gallop.
Yeah.
And I thought that maybe one of the other dogs shoved him, and he hit the fence post because the dog shoved him out, in the path of travel while they were running. But in looking back, because he died of a brain tumor, now I think probably his vision was affected. And that happened at dusk when the light's changing.
Right.
But he had he had some behavioral issues. He had just some odd things. And I can remember talking with the 2 of you going,
We're brainstorming all the time.
Yeah. And, being trainers and studying behavior, I assumed that it was a behavioral problem.
Well, and at his age, cancer's not the immediate assumption.
No.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Well, and even the veterinarian, I spent a fortune on Cisco trying to find out what was wrong. We ran blood work. We did this and that. And then finally he started to have seizures. And that's when our veterinarian got on the phone to a specialist. And the specialist was the one that said he had a specific type of tumor in a specific spot in the brain. And he said, I'll guarantee that. And then it was like 2 days later, Cisco had a grand mal seizure and basically didn't come out of it. And so I let him go. But 5 years old. 5-year-old dogs are not supposed to get cancer. Yeah. Fatal cancers. It's just wrong.
Yep. Yeah. Again, don't know if hereditary.
Treatment's a whole lot better than it used to be, but it's still not human. Yeah, it's not at the level of fighting human cancer. Although, with my Roddy, we did radiation. We did chemo.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to, the vet that I worked for previously, let me, I don't think I would have done the chemo if they hadn't let me sit with her. For hours and hours and hours, but stay with her.
Yeah.
And even the radiation, I couldn't be with her for that, but just before and after. And she temperament-wise, I was okay with letting her go in with strangers for something like radiation therapy, and sure enough, they all said she was great. Now, my second Roddy had issues.
Yes.
Deservedly so, but anyway, I wasn't going to put her through it. She could not have mentally and emotionally handled.
No, Gina couldn't have. That would have been torture for Gina.
That kind of therapy, right.
Yeah.
But would I do it again with Kayla? I don't know. It was still, we bought some time. But a lot of that time, like with the radiation, was spent treating topical burns.
Yeah.
The chemo was, trying to get her to eat again after all of that.
Yeah, then you kind of look back, quality is this.
Yeah.
I've only, in 40-some years of owning dogs, I've only lost 2 to cancer, Cisco and Bashir. And the 2 of them were already past the point of treatment by the time it was discovered, so I didn't have to make that choice. I'd certainly look into side effects before agreeing to it, though, because you can't explain to a dog, okay, look, you're going to feel like death warmed over, but this will give you some more time. You can't explain that to a dog. And if a dog is sick, really sick, by something we're putting him through, at what point is that fair or not fair?
And then 3 of the 4 were all 12, 13 years old.
Yeah.
To me, they're really older. And, when you get older, as we all know, get up from a chair, it's like, oh, ow, aches and pains. It's like, I didn't want to put them through that.
Yeah, well, and with hemangiosarcoma, let's talk about that, because you've lost 4, and that's unfortunately a very, very common cancer.
Yeah, unfortunately they do describe it as a deadly cancer. You can do the treatments like we talked about.
If you can catch it before it's bleeding.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's the majority of the time you don't catch it till it's too late.
Right. Look at poor Kona.
Yeah, we never knew.
Yeah.
He was here every day. We were doing training. Didn't know anything. He still had an appetite. He was blind for most of his life, but he was still active and playing and eating and drinking, and never knew until one day. I'm like, why? What's wrong? Why are you lethargic? Why are you just laying there? And brought him in. That's when I found out.
And then you called me and said he's bleeding.
Yeah. It's like, where did that come from? Never knew. Yeah. Some of the signs, if your dog gives you these signs, but like I said, 4 of mine didn't, was lethargy, lack of appetite, weight loss.
Because those are such general,
right?
There's symptoms of
abdomen.
There's symptoms of so many things.
Yeah. Nose bleeding, fatigue, pale color, the mouth, the eyes, increased respiratory
That means
rate.
There's already bleeding happening.
You got
pale
the
gums
pale
and all of that.
Yeah.
And now we're into,
And there's no treatment for that.
That's later stages showing.
Yeah. Yep. But again, treatment, if you catch it early enough, again, you can do the surgery following with chemotherapy or radiation or some type, but then...
And that also depends on where it is.
Yeah. And then you may buy them a couple months, few weeks, couple months, depending the dog, how bad. But they do say overall, unfortunately, prognosis is poor once your dog has it. You can buy some time, but if you're to the point like I went through...
There wasn't any time.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
I lost a dog to liver cancer. That was painful. I could not handle that for very long to make the decision to relieve him of his pain, because that was pancreatic cancer. His body was literally eating itself.
Yeah, that's not. No, that's
Yeah,
not,
so that was very. It wasn't hard. So the other day on Facebook, of course, they're talking with dog people. How do you know
when it's time?
Yeah.
I remember asking Liz that question with Shasta.
Every dog owner has asked it 100
and
times.
what I from then learned with all the other ones, and I tell other people that ask me, I said, you know what, they'll tell you.
Yeah.
And Shasta did.
Mm-hmm.
As a vet tech, I told people
when it's time, they'll tell you.
It's hard when you're going through it to wait and listen, pay attention.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But generally they do.
Mm-hmm. They do.
My first Roddy, she wanted to fight the cancer.
Yeah.
The second one, no. She was like, I'm done.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Bashir was done. I mean, we learned that on the camping trip. Mm-hmm. I will never, ever... You were sitting to one side reading and had a lawn chair set up next to you, and I think Walter was in that, and I was across the patio from the RV, and so I was facing the RV, and he came out, and he took a few steps, and then that stance. And all I could think, it looked like a horse with colic, with a bad bellyache. And his head was down, and he was just frozen. And I just realized how much pain he was in. And I thought it was the arthritis, but it didn't matter what it was. He was in so much pain.
You say horse with colic. I remember thinking bull at the end of a bullfight.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Just had enough.
Yeah.
Head down.
Yeah.
Breathing hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Well, I'll go through it, fortunately.
Well, I'm glad this company and these people are doing this, because it's a really hard topic.
It's a very hard topic. And if you've been regular listeners of ours, you know we usually don't go this deep and this sad. But it is something that most dog owners are going to face.
1 out of 4 dogs, that's
25% of them. And then by the time they get older, it's 50%. Increased. Yeah.
I'm telling you, all the dogs I had and the ones who passed away from cancer, I'd say it was 50% of my dogs passed away from cancer.
There you go.
I've been lucky. I haven't, knock on wood. Bashir and Cisco were the first 2. Otherwise, it was old age. One went into liver failure, but it wasn't cancer. One was laryngeal paralysis, but I've been lucky. So, knock on wood.
Yeah, no kidding. Yep.
All right. Well, we're going to let you go, but check out this company, Pets Are Kids 2, and their website is petsarekids2.com. They've got some nice products. You heard a little bit about them in our commercials for them also, but they are trying to save some dogs with cancer, trying to save 100 dogs before 2020, and that's a worthwhile.
And put out products without toxins.
Right. Their products are, again, if you're regular listeners, you know we're pretty picky, and I'm thrilled with the ingredients they have in their products. So take a look at them. And we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Having a rough day? Longing for the dog days of summer? Think your fun furry friend lives a dog's life? Well, find out everything you're begging to know as Pet Life Radio presents It's a Doggy Dog World with pet expert and award-winning author Liz Palaika. Every dog has his day, and you'll find out how to make your dog's day fun and rewarding. Every week, on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.